Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. So, I'm here to talk about, is Dragonflight worth buying? Is it worth playing? Is it worth the experience in general? I've come from playing Classic over the last couple of years, and again, Shadowlands was a complete failure for me. I just didn't want to play it. And this is where Blizzard really need to win back this audience. So, I've come into Dragonflight with a fresh mindset, a mindset of I'm going to play it for a couple of days. And if I do like it, great. And if I don't, I don't. It is what it is, right? So let's talk about a couple of things. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the leveling experience. So the first leveling experience had an interesting story, it had good pacing. All in all, it was doable in sort of 7 or 8 hours easily. You could probably do it much quicker. You could probably take your time as well. It really doesn't matter, but it's easily doable in that sort of time frame, which I think is a really good level for them. I think that's a really nice place to be. Obviously, that's 60 to 70. I think 1 to 70 right now is probably in the region of maybe 15 hours in general. Obviously, it's going to be doable much quicker than that if you were speed running it, but I genuinely think that's a good marker of what you would expect for a new character, level 1, 15 hours of playtime. You could probably hit max level, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. The campaign alone from 60 to 70 does around 75% of your leveling. Um, it won't get you all the way to 70, and I think that's a good thing as well. It allows you to explore a bit, allows you to go and do a couple of other things, allows you to go and mess around in BGs, dungeons, PvP, uh, rares, professions, all these different things that give you experience. It's really, really cool. So, my first character really enjoyed it. And my second character now, I've got two characters around the 65 marker, and that's just because I've mainly wanted to put time on my main, to be honest with you. But the second experience seems to be considerably quicker, probably doable in about 5 hours if I really put my mind to it. Probably, again, speedrunners are going to do it much quicker, but me personally, the average human, I reckon I can do it in around 5 hours. And having dragon riding max from the start is definitely a big help there. You can follow the campaign. You're not required to. You can just do all the side quests. You can go and do professions, gathering, BGs, dungeons, whatever you want to do. I've already seen people. I'm in a social guild right now. I've already seen people go down the line of creating like dungeon groups where you're just going to spam dungeons for a couple of hours. And get to max level. Obviously, you'll get to max level with a load of gear as well, which is fantastic. A nice little side bonus. But it's definitely worth. It's definitely there's definitely different ways to get there as well, and I think that's cool. All in all, it's a fairly painless process. I hate leveling. It wasn't too bad, and I would do it again if I wanted alts, but it's just not my focus in the game right now. But all in all, good sense of progression with it. So gearing. How is it to gear in Dragonflight? Well, gear comes from every source, and I'm not joking here. You can pretty much do any content and still feel a sense of progression for your character. We're in that new expansion lull where we're kind of capped at the eye level we can get right now because obviously Raids, Mythic Plus, PvP season isn't out. But we still, every content seems to be rewarding eye level, which is good. It's a sense of progression for your character. PvP has some issues right now in that the eye level from PvP gear is 340 in PvE, but 411 in PvP scenarios. Now, this means that people just coming in with like 330, 340 eye level are competing against people with 411, and the difference is quite substantial. I'm now nearly full PvP geared, and I've been doing it for around 2 days at 3-4 hours a day. So it's definitely doable. I did suffer some really heavy defeats from pre-made players that were going try hard for PvP gear at the start, but I've also heard that the dungeon finder requires 342 eye level. Now, I never had an issue when I first hit max level, could queue straight into heroics. But 342 seems a little bit higher than what I'd expect considering the dungeon difficulties. Although I will be doing a video very soon on how to hit 342 eye level really easy. So keep an eye out for that. World quests are also in that weird state in that world quests that reward items you want to save for as long as possible because ultimately you want they base their rewards on your eye levels. So if there's a 330 trinket, but you go and get 372 eye level in a week, then as long as that world quest is still available, you could go and get a higher eye level trinket, and that's much more beneficial to you. So you kind of want to do them, but don't at the moment, which is a really weird state for them to be in. But they have been for a while now. Overall, I've really not tried that hard. I've done all the Mythic Zeros. I've done a little bit of heroic farming. You can see I'm doing quests and stuff in the background, and a bit of rare farming. Um, and I'm currently 371 PvE eye level and 402 PvP eye level, and I'm still finding like random upgrades from rares and treasures and stuff. Like eye level is just coming from everywhere, so it feels like a really good spot right now. So dungeons. Dungeon difficulty and speed is exceptionally well done in Dragonflight. Like, no dungeon feels like a complete chore to do. So I'm going to compare it back to the days of like Legion, where you would queue up for a random dungeon. If you got more of Souls, that's great. If you got Halls of Valor, you went, ugh, don't want to, right? The difference in difficulty and speed was so significant. Nothing feels like that in Dragonflight. The biggest difference is probably between Niltharis and Algathar Academy. Now, Niltharis is a dungeon that has a lot of skippable mobs, and players will optimize a route through that to speed it up a lot. Whereas Algathar Academy is very linear and just seems to be that's the length of it. Obviously, it speeds up depending on how quick you kill stuff, but all in all. Um, so I feel like all of them are a really good length, and the difficulty, aside from Brackenhide Hollow. Now, it's not a particularly difficult dungeon, it just has a lot of disease damage that players don't know how to deal with right now. And they're avoiding like mechanics that are built into the dungeon to deal with that, which hasn't helped at all. Um, but all in all, I think it's good. And looking forward to Mythic Plus, then I think the balance of 4 Dragonflight for old school dungeons and the fact that they're going to rotate every season means that they won't feel old and stale after 2 or 3 seasons of running the same dungeon over and over again. I think it's going to feel really good and fresh. So, really looking forward to that in general. Now, PvP, I've talked about some teething issues in the gearing section generally, but now that I've broken out of that initial stage, PvP has been thoroughly enjoyable. There's no new BGs, which is unfortunate. Um, so the only real new addition to PvP in this expansion is Solo Shuffle, which is good. I'm really excited to play. Like, I'll be pushing for high rating, but just in general, it looks very, very interesting and fun to do. Gameplay. So I've played on 3 classes at the moment. More than like I'm going to say more than 3 hours I've put into each of these classes. One is Evoker, which I've put a lot of hours into, which is my main, which feels fantastic. It feels great, fresh, um, and well, just really enjoyable. Um, when you look at other classes, there seems to be a little bit of button bloat going on at the moment, which isn't ideal, but what I've noticed is that once you've played the classes for around an hour or two, so kind of by the time you've done a couple of quests, you got through the campaign or anything like that, they're all feeling really smooth and fun to play. There is some balance issues at the moment between kind of the really top end, the Havoc Demon Hunter that seems to be just outperforming everything, and the Marksman Hunter that seems to be healing bosses with the little damage it does. Um, all the tanks and healers seem to be in a really good place, that they're all viable. Obviously, there are some better than others for certain situations, but in general, they are all playable. Um, and we are expecting a tuning plus to come through with the Mythic raid release on December 13th, 14th. So potentially, then we are going to see some buffs to the weaker classes. Professions, I've talked about professions already a few times, but they're awesome. They are fantastic. The profession rework has been outstanding. I've not heard a bad thing from anyone about it. I'm someone who I think professions are a complete chore in WoW, or have been for many, many years now. I love professions in games like Star Wars Galaxies, where there was an actual skill element to it. You wanted to maximize your crafts, and you sought out people with high specialization in certain things to craft the best chest, to craft the best armor, to craft the best lightsaber, whatever. Um, there was a couple of bugs early on, but it seems to have been fixed, and it's brought a whole new dynamic to the game because Blizzard can use this as a source of catch-up mechanics, just general gearing, and crafting in general just feels very rewarding. So, absolutely big thumbs up for that. Now, finally, fun. This is what matters, right? It's a game, for God's sake. Dragonflight has held my attention for days now without wanting to stop playing at all, and it really has me hooked with the amount of content that is offered to me. Now, that's different than any other expansion we can say in the last few years. Um, there's no borrowed power system, so the content doesn't feel forced on me. I don't feel like I have to do it. If I wanted to min-max myself to the nth degree and be the top 0.1%, I absolutely could go and farm every world quest. I could go and do every dungeon. I could go and do every world quest, every quest normally. I could go and do all these things to get the best gear, but it seems to be a really good pacing in that just by casual gameplay now and steady gameplay, I'm going to be able to reach most of this naturally. I'm going to be able to hit um, the renown gear. I'm going to be able to hit the full PvP gear. I'm going to be able to hit full dungeon gear. I'm going to have 2 Mythic 0 resets. They seem to have really paced it well. That I'm not forced to rush or do anything that I don't want to do. Um, the story is quite good. The events are different and interesting, although again they are quite new. And this is something I will say with everything: is yes, all this stuff still has that new expansion hype, right? It's still something that it's great because it's new, and will it still feel the same in a year's time? Maybe not, but right now it still feels good, fresh, and fun. And all in all, Dragonflight has started in an incredibly good place, considering Shadowlands, which was just atrocious overall. I'd say it would take a considerable amount of negligence from Blizzard to screw this up. And I'm not saying that's not possible. We've seen Blizzard do it before, but their new philosophy in terms of development seems that they are looking to get this right. I'd say Dragonflight right now is a 9 out of 10. No game is perfect, and there are things that could be improved. Absolutely, I've talked about a couple of things here, and I'm sure there's more that other people will feel as well. Um, we've got on December 13th for US, December 14th for EU, the Raid Mythic Plus and PvP season is going to start. That adds a whole new layer of content as well and replayability to the game. So I think there's so much to go for right now in Dragonflight. And considering you pay the same sub for Classic and Dragonflight as well, if you're already a Classic player, Dragonflight's definitely worth getting. And if you're someone who is skeptical about trusting Blizzard with a new expansion, I definitely think this is worth giving a go. My personal opinion, and I would never force you to spend money on something you aren't confident with yourself. But me personally, I think this is a fantastic investment, and I will be playing both Classic and Dragonflight for a long time to come, assuming Blizzard keep it in a good state. So, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you like the content. There's loads more coming, including guides and stuff on how to hit the different breakpoints that you do need. And yeah, if there's any videos you guys want to see in the comments, and I'll get them done for you. Thank you guys for watching, and catch you later. Bye.